Hi, everybody. Good morning from Clasheen. So I would like to just say welcome to Shauna as well. Here in Ireland, it is 8 a.m. in the morning, but I wanted to just do a little presentation now and another one this evening because we have had so many fantastic comments, replies, and questions following on from the 3-day eco printing bootcamp. So I guess by now, most of you know, my name is Nicola Brown. I'm a textile artist based in rural Southeast Ireland, and I am developing a sustainable textile practice. I absolutely love what I do, and I really love helping other people learn all about eco printing without using traditional powdered mordants, wet felting, combining the two processes, and developing their sustainable processes in their own studios so that we can really not waste resources and we can be mindful about what we do. And the reason Shauna and I decided that 8 a.m., which is obviously evening time in countries like Australia or New Zealand, we decided it would be a good idea to have a session now just to share a few things about what you can do if you want to elevate your practice and work further with me. Because the response, as I say, to the free bootcamp was fantastic. And if you think of the free bootcamp as 1% of what I could share with you, hopefully you are excited about the possibility of skyrocketing your own textile practice. So maybe you might like to just say hi in the chats. Let us know where you're tuning in from, because this gives us really good information for future live streams and the time that we hold them. So just say where you're living and what time in the world it is. And I'm just going to pop some slides up on the screen and talk you through them, and then I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. So, are you ready to add some excitement and some variety to your art, your craft practice in an environmentally mindful and a health conscious way? Are you like me? Do you really, really enjoy a mindful, intuitive way of working? Do you enjoy working with the seasons changing? Do you like the excitement actually of looking in antique shops and scrap yards for old pots and pieces of rusty metal? Maybe you're a felt maker and you absolutely love dealing with the natural raw fiber and making your own fabric, maybe to eco-print or maybe not to eco-print. But all of these things are, they're environmentally mindful. We're trying to save resources, reuse things, reduce waste, and just enjoy the whole process. It's really a lifestyle choice for me as well. I love growing my own vegetation to use in the studio and supporting local businesses. For example, this lamb's wool throw or blanket that I have wrapped around me in this image, that was woven for me to my order at a local woolen mill. I commissioned fabric and that was woven for me. And then I eco-printed it using leaves from my own trees. So for me, it's all about using what's around you, being mindful, being sustainable, and sharing with others exactly how they can as well. So you might be a teacher and you want to share with your students. You might be a homeschooler or a grandmother or a mother, and you want an activity to do with children. And biodiversity and wildlife gardening, so many more people are interested in these sorts of things now. And I feel that eco-printing in the dirty pot really fits into that sort of ethos. So now let me show you just very briefly how eco-printing and wet felting can bring new life to your own textiles. And it can open up a whole new world of possibilities, because you may have experienced in one of the techniques in eco-printing or wet felting. You might have experienced in both, or you might have experienced in neither and just be fired up after the boot camp and just wonder how what can you do and how can you learn further with me? And if you want to say goodbye to feeling overwhelmed and you want to create beautiful, complex eco prints from the dirty pot, I can help you. And this particular piece here is a felt pod. So I initially would have created the piece of felt. And again, this has been eco printed with leaves that I'm growing here in my own garden. And the more golden color under those tie marks, that color is coming from onion skins. And you may have realized that onion skins are one of my favorite sorts of vegetation to eco print with. And I can help you by giving you pro tips to help you achieve the color and the results that you want, giving you expert guidance with, the pot liquid, the fabric you use, the vegetation, how the metal that you roll your pieces up on affects the end result of your piece, both the prints that you get, the colors that you get, and how washable and light fast it is. And if you're already an eco printer, can you just drop us a little comment and say, yay, I'm an eco printer? And then a little bit further than that, have you worked without traditional powdered mordants before in the dirty pot? Because it is important to say that there are nuances to eco printing. And when I say I can help you achieve different colors, I can. But it's not possible to achieve exactly the same colors as you would when you're using chemicals to fix the color. And that's part of the nuance of having more experience. You can have a wider range of colors by doing specific things. And that's something that, I share with members of my subscription club. So getting nice, interesting background colors and learning which vegetation gives different colors is all part of, developing your textile practice. So you can elevate your felting game with insider tips and techniques from me, and these will help you achieve spectacular results. And I'm sort of having a laugh when I look at this image that I'm sharing, because actually this was taken during COVID times, and look how long my hair is there. It's kind of quite funny, I think, really. But anyway, so felting was my big textile passion. And it's through felting I became an eco printer, because I absolutely love felting. And I like doing very, very simple shapes and simple pieces. And I either like working in color and letting the surface design and the color really come to the foreground, or I like working in natural undyed fiber and then eco printing it, or eco printing fabric and incorporating that into my felt. So I think it's really wonderful to master the art of nuno-felting and learn how to combine felting and eco-printing together. Because many of you who were on the boot camp and who might be watching now are felt makers. So maybe just drop us a yes or a no. Are you a felt maker into the comments? And if you are a felt maker, have you eco-printed on your felt, or have you used eco-printed fabric and incorporated it into your felt? Because they both give very different results. So this Nuno felt wrap here, and we actually had a workshop in the membership club in the autumn, where people, even some people who had never felted before, we Nuno felted one weekend, and then the following weekend we eco printed. So some of the eco printers learned to felt and some of the felters learned to eco print. But this particular piece is a felt wrap that was created in white and then it was eco printed. This piece here, this wall hanging, I incorporated eco printed felt into this wall hanging. So the back of this wall hanging is black wool. And then this started out very big. These, the stone-like designs, this is part of my dry stone wall series. But those big stones, they are all pieces of Nuno felt, or sorry, not Nuno felt, eco printed silk. But what's very interesting about a piece like this is you can really use, like we all have pieces that don't turn out as we expect. So when I have some eco-printed silk that I'm not 100% happy with about the outcome, a great thing about eco-printing is you can always overprint your pieces. But also, if you have pieces that you're not over happy with, they make incredibly beautiful surface decoration for your felt. And so even though the piece of silk itself in some of these stones was not necessarily the most beautiful, once it was combined with the wool, it gave it a totally, totally different feel. And this particular wall hanging, as I say, it's part of my dry stone wool series. And I had a solo show in 2016, and this was the first piece that sold. It sold within a couple of minutes of the exhibition opening. I also had 3 larger pieces, and they sold afterwards, and they went to Boston. But similar sort of idea. It was like panels, 3 large pieces, black wool at the background, and the stones in the front. And it's the subtle nuances of things that sometimes you understand a technique, but you don't know how to achieve that just a little bit extra with your pieces. And for me, as a felt maker and an eco printer, what has become very obvious is that if you want to combine the two, a darker fiber actually shows off the finished piece better. If I had put white wool behind my silk here, it's almost like painting and adding white to the mix. You dilute everything. So the white wool would have come through the silk fabric on the surface, and it would have made everything washed out more, whereas a dark color makes it stronger. And it's those little subtleties that can make the biggest difference to everything. So if you'd like to work further with me, I would just like to introduce the Eco Print and Wet Felt Club. So maybe I'll just raise my mug of coffee, take a drink. If you have a glass of wine or a drink, cold drink of your choice, just raise it. I'd like to announce that my subscription club, the Eco Print and Wet Felt Club, is open for new members for a very limited time. It is only open for new members until Sunday evening this week. So I'm going to just flick through a few slides I prepared this morning, and then I'm very happy to answer questions. I'll explain more about what it entails, what it costs, etc., etc. And then I'm happy to answer questions for anybody who's interested. But this club, it's a subscription like Netflix. So I don't want to go on about all the stuff per se, but it is important for you to understand, what it entails. So within the club, there's a really extensive library of eco-printing information and of wet felting information. There's also information about developing, if maybe you're a textile artist or a crafter and you want to sell your work, there's also information about developing the business side of your practice and tips and advice if you're doing events or exhibitions, etc., etc. But the main body of the work, there are step-by-step videos and text information. There are plenty of resources, PDF files to download, giving you guidance for people who are new to specific techniques, such as eco-printing in the dirty pot or wet felting. But I also give more advanced tips, and there are the nuances to help you achieve the subtlety in your work. And we have challenges, and those are for those people with previous experience and for those people who are totally new. Currently, we're in the middle of a jewelry making challenge, a textile jewelry challenge. And some people are going to make their jewelry from felt. Some people are going to make their jewelry from eco-printed fabric. Some people are going to combine both, and some are going to do other things. So we have challenges that will fire your imagination and allow you to step out of the box. our first challenge last year was making an origami bag, and it was just incredible what people came up with and what they did. And then our current challenge is jewelry, but our last challenge was actually about making a coat, a Brooklyn coat, which is a pattern by a good new Australian fabric, pattern house, Tessuti Designs. And for that as well, I also shared how to naturally dye in the dirty pot. So for my coat, I actually made a coat that combined eco-printed Nuno felt and naturally dyed Nuno felt. So there's information in the library and step-by-step tutorials how to dye in the dirty pot, but there's a bigger focus on eco-printing. These are just a few of the things that there is plenty of information about. Sculptural felting. So for example, if you would like to make a felt pod like mine that you saw a few minutes ago, full step-by-step information how to do that, how to felt bags, flat felt if you're a beginner, eco-printing on paper. You might be a mixed media artist. You might be somebody who for various reasons wants to print on paper. I'm actually intending on printing paper, and a friend is going to wallpaper one of the walls in my bathroom, and then I'm going to put wax on top of it. So that'll be a bit of fun. It's been in the works for a while, but I just haven't had time. But I'm really looking forward in 2023 to working closer and closer with people in the club. It's the best way for people to have plenty of interaction with me. So I'll be sharing all that process with club members. I used to teach much more face-to-face and teach online workshops with a specific start and end date. But my business model now has changed because I help care for my mother and another relative part-time. And so the membership club is a great way for me to share what I'm doing and to help other people develop their practice as well. And it's good fun. So you might be interested in sewing and then printing pieces. You might be interested in printing and sewing. You might be interested in felting and printing garments. Maybe you want to do tannin and iron reactions without using traditional powdered mordants. You get fantastic results, and the results are different than if you did the same reactions with mordants. In the summer, we had, I added a section to the library about indigo. I have an organic indigo vat, and I shared how I set my vat up and how that vat reacted with indigo, the indigo and eco printing. I will be doing more about indigo and eco printing in 2023. I'm also going to share about eco printing, just the basics of eco printing on leather in the dirty pot. We have a new section in the library recently about using the microwave. So if you live in a country where it's very cold, maybe in the winter, or it's very hot and you can't work outside because of a fire danger, or you have less space, or you want to work on smaller projects, or you want to conserve energy, you can eco-print and you can try and replicate the dirty pot results in the microwave using the tips that I share and the step-by-step process that I share. Of course, it's not going to be exactly the same because you can't put the physical metal in the pot into the microwave. But however, you can get excellent results in the microwave. So if you're short of space or you're short of time, there are tips and information, and there will be more and more of that sort of information moving into 2023. 2022 was all about getting the club up and running, getting the library consolidated, and now it's all about moving forwards. So what do you get from me? Well, you get personalized attention and support because we have a wonderful Facebook group. But I don't want to talk about the stuff per se today, really, but I will answer your questions in a few minutes if you have them. But You can ask your questions. The library is hosted on Kajabi. It's an online learning platform. So there's a really, really extensive library of content. And let's say, for example, you want to know how to eco-print a large blanket. There is a step-by-step tutorial for eco-printing larger pieces in the library. So let's say you look at the video, you read the information, and you still have questions. You can ask your questions by leaving a comment on that specific tutorial in the library. I will answer your comment as soon as I can, usually the same day, but bear in mind, we may be in a different time zone. I'll answer your comment, and everybody who's looking at the library in the future will be able to see your question and my answer. So in that way, you get feedback on very specific questions that you have in relation to the content I've uploaded. And then we have a wonderfully warm and welcoming Facebook group where people support each other. You can upload any images of the work you're creating. If you have a problem with something, and we all do, I had during my experimentation with the microwave, I had a piece explode. And, I upload and I share my problems as well as being able to help other people when they have problems, because not everything works perfectly every time. If you're experimenting and expanding your practice, you have to understand you need to gain experience, you need to try things out. And the majority of times things work really well, but sometimes they don't. And of course, you've got the clear guidance from me of how they do work well. But there will always be issues. So that's something. Then you can upload the images of all the work in progress, of your completed pieces. And there is marvelous support and not artificial, praise. People are genuinely interested in what everybody else uploads to the private Facebook group. There's no need to join the private group, but it's a wonderful way of sharing what you're creating with everybody else. And you can work at your own pace. There are regular live calls with me. So each month there is a Q&A session it's only obviously for club members. So there's a live Q&A session, usually lasts for about an hour. And then each month there is also a live training session followed by Q&As. And I deliver the training sessions, but periodically there will be guest tutors or guest textile artists. So my great buddy Kim Titachai, she facilitated the most wonderful training about design during the summer. And marvelous eco-printer Caroline Nixon is going to be sharing a training about stitching and eco-printing and felt, but the, eco-print felt stitching, but stitching your textiles. So that will be happening early in 2023. And I'm always open to suggestions from people if they have a textile artist whose work they admire and they would like me to investigate the possibility of, having a training from them. So we have challenges, great community, you work at your own pace. And that's really important because people come into something like the club from different backgrounds and different levels of experience. In August, some people came in to the club and they had never eco-printed or they had never wet felted or never done either. But there were also people who did have plenty of experience. So it's really important to know that this is not a race. It's not a competition with other people, that you can work at your own pace. If you only like felting, you only have to look at the felting section. You don't have to eco-print. And if you're only interested in eco-printing, that's perfect too. There's plenty for everybody. And then through the regular live calls with me, you get, plenty of support, feedback, all your questions answered. And because people are in different time zones, 1 month we have them early in the morning at 8 a.m. and then the next month we have them at 6 p.m. All the content like that, it is all recorded and it's all in your library afterwards. So if you live in New Zealand, for example, and you miss the 6 p.m. call one month. That will be in the library for you to watch, but the next month the calls will be at 8 a.m. And I would just like to say as well, don't let the changing seasons hold you back. We live in different climates and different time zones. So it's important to say there is a lot, we have a great amount of vegetation between me and the other club members so far. We have a nice list of vegetation from all sorts of various parts of the world that gives excellent eco prints. And so you're going to have access to a wealth of knowledge and resources. So whatever the weather, you can felt, you can eco print, and you will be able to move your textile practice forwards. And one thing that I found over the years, particularly from teaching wet felting in America, when I was on the circuit a lot teaching felt making, many people have health issues, some physical reason, maybe a bad back, for example, that have meant that they aren't able to tackle larger felting projects, or just they don't enjoy all the physical rubbing and rolling. Well, one of the things that I share in the library is actually how to use a tumble dryer to remove all that physicality out of the wet felting process. So there are quite a number of people in the club who really had either stopped felting or weren't interested in felting at all, who have now taken to it like a duck to water. And that's one of the beauties of it. You can experiment with things, and I'll share shortcuts with you about, how to, drive your business forward. So I guess you might be asking yourself now, how much does this cost? So I'm just going to pop it up on screen. So it's a monthly subscription. So the membership is open now. And Sean, if you could just drop that link into the chat if you haven't already done so. So it's a monthly subscription. So it's like having an ongoing workshop with me. In fact, you have access to all this library. It's $99 US per month. Or you can save 2 months and you can pay an annual subscription of $990. And to put this into perspective, that actually works out at less than the price of a cup of coffee per day if you were here in Ireland and you were going to get a cup of coffee. But if you came to me for a workshop from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m., that workshop would be 120 euros. If you did an online workshop with me previously, you're talking about hundreds of dollars for very specific information, which is just the tiniest section of the subscription club. So for $99 per month, you get 2 live streams that are private to the group where you can have all your questions answered. You have access to a huge library of content. I've explained what you have. And there's also a full 14-day money back guarantee. So if you choose to join the club and you decide within the first 14 days of paying your subscription, setting it up, that you do not want to continue, it's absolutely no quibble. I don't mind if you've looked at all the information or not. There's a no quibble 14-day money back guarantee. And I want to be really clear about that because I want to work and help people who want to work with me. It should be fun and enjoyable for both of us. I don't want to force somebody. I want to really help you drive your textile, your craft, your art practice, your sustainability forwards. I want to cut through everything so you have the knowledge to do that. But I don't want to force anyone to do it. I want to work with people who want to work with me. And I hope that makes sense. And I would really be delighted if you would join me. And I am going to add the video. I'll add the link in the video description below after the live stream ends. For those of you who are watching this as a recording, I'm going to look at the comments, the questions now. So if you have a question for me, if you could Ask the question like usual. Just put 3 question marks in front and behind, and Shona will be flagging them for me. And I'm also going to be going live at 6 p.m. GMT, Irish time, this evening. So if you happen to be watching this as a recording and then you have questions, try and join me later on, or else ask them as a comment and I will get back to you. Okay, so I'm just going to go and see, are there any questions? Aha, now we have someone here, and unfortunately, I cannot see who this is, but I am a member and I love it. I'm wondering, Tammy, are you joining us before you go to bed? But I would have thought I would have seen your face there. So it is really great to have you here. So thank you so much. Laurie is saying, I'm a textile artist achieving fantastic results using your methods. I'm interested in learning to felt. Laurie, I think it's just such a felt and eco print are so incredible. And it took me quite a while. I was a dedicated felt maker. I had no interest in anything else. I wasn't blown away by my first results eco printing, but about 1.5 years, 2 years later, I revisited it. And a Russian friend said to me about really boiling the pot. And as soon as I started getting good results, that was it. It's just the perfect thing together. Aha, now here we have it here. So this is Rita. Fantastic Rita. Rita is the most wonderful textile artist, incredible at stitching on her felt. And she made an extraordinary coat for the Brooklyn Coat Challenge. Rita's in Tasmania. So, hey, Rita, thank you so much for that endorsement. That's wonderful. Yeah, really great. Thank you. Excuse me for coughing. Okay, so Alison is just saying, it sounds amazing and just what is needed, but the timing isn't good. Hoping I'll reopen the membership later in the year. And thanks so much for saying thanks for the generosity so far, Alison. So the club only last year it opened for membership twice. And this year it will probably just be twice, once now and once midway through the year. Excuse me. And the reason that I only open it a couple of times, well, last year was the first year, but the reason that there is a very definite hard deadline after Sunday night, people will not be able to join again. So the reason for that is when I have a new intake of members, Rita joined at the end of August. What I want to do is I want to be able to work with the new members at the very beginning, make sure that, excuse me, that you understand the power of the library, show you around over the first week, show you around. Everything will kick off next week, get you up and running and understanding how everything works, and then giving you access to the full library, etc., a couple of days after joining, so that then you can meet the other members, and then everybody comes in groups, so it's much easier for me to deal with. I don't want to have people joining at different times of the year, because then I can't make sure that you're onboarded successfully, that you know how the learning library works. It makes much more sense just to open it a couple of times. So Alison, it will open one more time during 2023, probably not for 5 or 6 months. And Alison is saying in another comment that actually she has just moved house, and so will have to wait this year. But she is a gardener and a felter with a small garden. Perfect, absolutely perfect if you're a gardener or a felter. And now, I'm not 100% sure what Stella, what you mean here. Would be okay to be around here for sustainable paper printing. I share all about eco printing paper in the club, but it's not my speciality. I mean, I can show you how to eco print on paper and give you tips and advice. And I'll just flash this up again here. Hang on. So this here is some paper that I have eco-printed, but it's not my speciality. My speciality is working on fabric without the mordants. So I can show you how to create paper prints like these in the dirty pot, but I can't go into really detailed nuances of eco-printing on paper. I just do a certain amount of it. And so that is in the club, Stella, about how to eco-print on paper is in the club, but that's just one very small bit. The majority, you know, all the information is really about fabric with a small section about eco-printing on paper. And as I said earlier, there is going to be information later this year about eco-printing on felt in the dirty pot. And all sorts of new things will be coming your way very soon if you're already in the club. So if there aren't any more questions, I think that should let you have a glimpse at what to expect if you join the club. And I'd like to just say thanks again to Rita, who I hadn't realized Rita was here. So Rita is saying, yep, she's a member and she loves it. And in fact, I know when Rita joined, she wasn't sure how much she would get out of the club. And I have to say, as the facilitator, I'm getting a lot out of having Rita as a member. And I think Rita's getting a lot out of being a member. We all have built great friendships and relationships with each other in the club. And Alison, thank you. So she's understood everything. She'll get planting and she'll stay in touch. That's brilliant, Alison. Thank you so much. So look, thanks for your attention, everybody. If you are watching this as a recording, or if you have any questions you think of afterwards, just drop them as a comment. But if you're ready to jump on board and have my guidance and the support of a whole team, I would like to welcome you. Say, hit that link which Shauna had shared. And I'm just going to flash Shauna up on the screen again. The other thing that I didn't mention is Shauna's there to help with techie things and give you support in the background and keep an eye on everything and flag things for me. If anybody has something that they want my personal attention for immediately and I happen to have missed it, Shauna will just send me a quick message and that's it. So I'm going to remove Shauna from the screen because I have one more comment or one more question. So, do I remember correctly that you'll be covering printing leather and soy milk binders? Yes. Soy milk, the information about using soy milk is already there. It's been actually in the library for a long time. So that information is already there. And I will be covering eco-printing leather later, later in the spring. I have beautiful leather that I bought during lockdown and I have done some printing on it, but I haven't had enough time to do more. And I think that it's fantastic. Like it's fascinating eco-printing it. So yes, I will be covering eco-printing on leather in the dirty pot. The information about soy milk is already there, or yogurt or milk, all of that is already there. Tannin and iron reactions already there in the library. So there's a really good amount of content to work through. But the big thing for me about the library is the fact that, or about the membership, is that we have an ongoing relationship and I'm there to help you achieve what you want to achieve, because people come in from different backgrounds, different levels of experience, and not everybody wants to achieve the same things. And so my goal is to let everybody inform what they concentrate on and for me to help them achieve what they want. So thank you all so much. Really looking forward to welcoming new members, and you'll get a lot more of me and Shauna once you become a member. And thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. Over and out from Clasheen, and I'll be back here again at 6 p.m. GMT this evening to continue this conversation if you are watching as a recording. Bye.